Despite what their moms told them, they just aren't talented enough for radio. Unfortunately, anyone can have a show these days. Sean.
Well, I'm pretty hard to figure out sometimes. In fact, I can't even figure myself out sometimes, so don't you try to.
Joe.
You're an idiot and really a disloyal person.
This is the Cuse Militia. Those two unapologetically biased, orange-blooded homers, Sean and Joe.
It's the most bullshit thing I've seen in 30 years.
Welcome, orange men and ladies. Happy Sunday. This is the Cuse Militia with Sean and Joe. At Cuse Militia on the socials. Go there, join the militia. The Orange improved to 13-7, 6-3 after the 80-63 win over Georgia Tech on the road. Makiq Brown with a day offensively, chipping in 18 points. And Georgia Tech chipping in 16 turnovers. You'll hear from us, and we'll hear from you in fan feedback. Syracuse returns to the Dome and will host UNC Tuesday and at 9 o'clock. We'll let you know what we think about that. Appreciate everybody who, another blacked out game in Syracuse. So
appreciate you, Sean.
Yeah, I don't know what you guys would do without me sometimes. I'm trying to see.
Me included yesterday.
You had to watch yesterday? You had to watch the stream?
Mm-hmm. Unless I wanted to watch or pay $70 for an annual subscription to Fubo TV.
Really?
Or Fubo TV.
I wonder what it is about. I wonder what
it's
it
Yes
is.
Network, man.
It's not, but I don't have Yes. I have Masson. So it's.
Yeah, something about DirecTV can get it.
Oh, okay. So
when it comes to cable, you got to have that Yes Network, man.
I gotcha. Well, I don't know when there's going to be another regional sports network game, but from around.
What's crazy to me is that it even gets blacked out to ESPN. That's the craziest thing to me.
Yeah, why? What's up? Why? I don't even understand that. Like, it's conference play. Nothing should be to that point.
Especially, if it's on the ACC network channel or Network Extra, and ACC Network and ESPN are working together, and majority of those get streamed through ESPN Plus and ESPN Watch, then that should never be blacked out. So I'm sorry, especially in an area where it's at Georgia Tech. I live in North Carolina. I'm not really. I guess it's kind of regionally, but not really. And New York definitely isn't. So that's just a yes monopoly as far as that's concerned.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really have an answer for
money.
That. But yeah, it's money. But I just don't remember it being like this late in the season. It was because we did this a lot early. It's mostly non-conference stuff. It wasn't usually, right in the middle of conference play. Kind of.
Yeah, well, again, you shouldn't punish them. It's a situation where I can understand sometimes stuff being blacked out if it's in a weird situation and the game's home or whatever. But people in Syracuse didn't have an option. Most people don't have an option to go to Georgia Tech. So, and if they want to play it on cable and there's no other, channel, if you have Yes, that's yeah, we'll do it, but we're not going to let anybody stream it through yet. I would have said no. I don't even really understand why we even allow Yes to be a part of it, to be perfectly honest with you.
Yeah. Well,
because more people are just not going to watch it versus sign up for Yes. No, sorry.
Right. Yeah, I guess maybe the answer is DirecTV. It is snowing. It's balls off in Buffalo. It was great. All right. I just happened to see it as the game's just about to start. All right. Let's hear what Coach had to say following the win.
I thought when we made the substitutions in the first half and went with our press, we didn't really steal the ball, but they pushed it and they took a couple threes in transition. Then we were able to get the rebound and get down and score. So it really wasn't a matter of getting steals, but it was really a matter of them taking some shots. And then I thought our interior defense got a little bit better. We started very slow defensively. And then our interior defense got better. That helps us. Joe, had huge first half, first huge game. He was tremendous. Smith's a pretty good defensive player, and he just was tremendous. And I thought when Judah came back, he was really good. He made a couple really great reads, passes, and I just thought everybody helped. Munir helped us in the first half. Samir. I thought Quadir he's been really good in practice, and I thought it was a game against their man that he could get something. And the interesting thing is he just goes after balls. He had 6 rebounds in 17 minutes. Our 2 starting forwards had 3 in 26. And that's just not a good statistic, and it's been that way. And it's really something we've talked about and looked at. Makiq was really good offensively. He didn't do the usual rebounding job he does. He usually gets more, but he had a really good offensive game. I thought Joe and Judah really looked for him, and he finished around the basket. But this was a good win.
Specifically about Joe, his ability to back guys down and to sort of bully them a little bit this year is a different aspect of his game.
Yeah, he's been good at that. He must have watched Buddy play. Maybe he thinks he's 6'6". I don't know. He got around the basket. He was just stronger and better in there, and I just think Miami's more physical. This team is not as physical, so he has an advantage there.
All right, so look, Syracuse goes down early again, and you're just like, okay, well, let's wait for him to warm up, I suppose. It seems to take about 10 minutes for the defense and the offense to get on the same page and get things going, but typical. Using the press early, down by 11 in the first half, I thought was good, and it's been effective, which is refreshing because the past couple of years it's just the maybe it was effort, I don't know. Quadir Copeland did a great job, scrappy, gritty. If I'm Joe, first of all, how many bad games has Joe had this year? I mean, he's been as consistent as he's ever been this year, and he's got, I think, 8 or 9 games with 20 plus points, and I mean, he's just a machine. And yeah. I think having Judah there and him playing the 2, I think, is a huge contributor to that because. And then the whole operation down low too, with Makiq Brown and Jesse down there. Like there's so many problems offensively with that Syracuse presents as a team to defenses, and I mean, you can't cover everybody all at the same time if you're too worried about Jesse because. You're clogging it up down there, and then Joe's on fire, and Judah's gonna drive, and then even Joe is starting to, drive into the lane and back out, and catching guys in their momentum and making them look stupid. So, I mean, I just wish that for once it would be a case where they start like this, and I'd rather have them finish like this than start like this, right? But yeah. It'd be nice not to have to come from behind. But with that said. I mean, a hell of a win, 17 points, just dismantled them towards the end of that game. And the other thing is they, the press again, like Coach said, there wasn't any steals or anything like that, but that's not really what I think I'm looking for. It's to just get them out of their rhythm and make them speed up and have them make mistakes. Like I said in the open, they 16 turnovers. I mean, it was just sloppy for Georgia Tech at one point, and they looked good at the beginning of the game, hitting those threes and everything. And even when they were, Syracuse was right there and going down and making useful trips and being able to at least score 2. And it was just, I mean, look, good. It's a game we had to win because of who they are, right? So there's that, but it was a road win in the ACC. So
yeah. And I mean, part of it, I think, is that every week or every game, we don't know who what the right, combination is going to be. So there's always a feeling out process. And if we come out and we're playing against a team that's a little bit better on defense and they're not allowing us to get some of these points until we get, feel out the situation, then that's why I think we do go down like that. I think because Georgia Tech and the team that they were, it allowed us to kind of stay a little bit closer. But yeah, I just, when Makiq Brown's playing like this, I don't know how much room there is for Benny, to be perfectly honest with you. I still think that Justin Taylor and Chris Bell have to work better with moving around the three-point line and moving without the ball. I think that's why Brown works so well. You throw in the fact that Jesse has been getting the ball down low, and then, he was getting double teamed. That was kind of stalling our offense out a little bit. It could have been a reason why we lost a couple games earlier in the ACC conference. But now, when Makiq playing the way he is and moving without the ball and stuff like that, even catch Joe doing a little backdoor screen so that Makiq Brown could go, cut to the hoop for a wide open dunk. I mean, you get a guy like that, and that's what we talked about in the beginning of the year about figuring out your roles. And 6'8" and a power forward that wants to play away from the defense and isn't moving without the ball and only shoots jumpers and one-on-one stuff. That's not what we need to maximize our efficiency and possibility of winning a game for Syracuse. So that's what you see with that. And as far as the other guys go, teams, even though teams, there could be some fast-paced teams, but even a lot of times the 2-3 zone, they slow those teams down. They work the ball around, they work the defense around, try to find the openings, and they get some shots. And I think, once a team gets comfortable, I don't mind whatsoever and actually would prefer them bringing in, a lineup like, with Copeland and Torrance and, get some of those, your athletic, rangy guys out there, Makiq Brown. And like you said, if not anything, just kind of mess up, the flow and the confidence and maybe their comfortability of what's going on, and then get them to force some shots, quick shots, and just change the way that the game's flowing. Like that sometimes just changes everything, whether you get the steals or not. So, and I think that's what Jim was alluding to, and I think that, we should be doing that. I think that Samir and Quadir should be getting, 10 to 15 minute spurts and getting the game going and trying to change up the momentum and kind of the flow of the game to kind of keep the other team on their toes and keep them from getting comfortable. So good on him.
Joe, all 40 minutes, 5 rebounds, 7 assists, 6 for 10 from 3, 28 points, a phenomenal game. And then, like we were saying, Makiq Brown, just a solid game. Only coach says he only got 4 rebounds, but I mean, look, when you're scoring 18 points, 4 steals. I'll take the 18 points too. So,
and he's all hustle.
Yeah, well,
he's trying to get his hand on the ball. He came up behind the guy and got a steal.
Same with Quadir. I mean, he's the one that you when he's in the game, he is going after the 50-50 balls. He's going to be someone he's going to give up his body, kind of like Judah does, to get down the ground. And only 2 points, but 6 rebounds, and just the gritty, in the grittiness and in the hustle that you need on a floor. And he put in. I mean, look, it's not always about scoring, but a solid 17 minutes for him. It's been a few games since we seen him get some valuable minutes, and I feel like, despite the 2 points, I mean, he made the best of them.
32.
But,
I mean,
no. Quadir.
No, Quadir. Yeah. 17. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, like you said, getting the rebounds, getting the assists, just being out there, being active, trying to force them. I mean, they had some unforced turnovers and stuff like that, 16 to be exact, and we out-rebounded them. So, I mean, this game kind of went exactly the way that I thought it would end up going. It's just you never know with the combo what's going to work, And we didn't even need to press at that point in time. You don't need to press down 11 in the first half.
I know, but I liked it, though. I liked that decision to do it. Yeah.
Yes, I like it. And I just think that, again, I almost feel like this is a kind of breaking year for Boeheim because he hasn't had this many options and this many chances to kind of switch stuff up for a very, very long time, like way before. I mean, probably before our sanctions. You know what I mean? So,
I think talking about the press, he's got the availability. First of all, it's better. It's better, so why not do it more? You're down by 11 in the first half. okay, give a 5-minute run doing it or whatever, and save some for later. But it was always desperation. The past few years when we've seen the press, it was always just out of pure desperation because we're about to lose this game, and it's just, well, let's throw all this at the wall and see what happens. And it's just not like that anymore. Now it is a tool in the tool belt that you can use.
And I don't even care if we're up. We're on the road. We're up.
I know.
Maybe Judah and Jesse need a little burn. Take Judah and Jesse out. Put in some other guys and press them.
Obviously, Georgia Tech was extremely frustrated with that Syracuse defense. And that's to say the least, because some of the mistakes that they were making, some sloppy basketball, some of the mistakes they were making were just ridiculous.
Let's be honest, they weren't really being too successful underneath the hoop as well. So I think that's where it kind of, especially early too, because they hit threes early. Like, I think they kind of fell in love with the three. Hitting 10 out of 31 isn't awful, but they probably took too many threes and they should have.
Nate on Facebook, good win on the road. Huge game again for JG3 and for Brown. It's always good when you beat the teams you should. Yes, I think had to have it. And I guess that's the motto so far this year is just don't lose any more that you should win. And maybe the rest will take care of itself. They're going to have some kind of signature win or two down the stretch here to make a big difference. And you still got the tournament, the ACC tournament, but I don't want to have to be in a position to rely on something big to happen in the ACC tournament either. So,
the problem with that is that we've seen situations right now where we're seeing situations where teams are getting better. Duke's growing up.
Florida State.
North Carolina's gotten better. Florida State. We're at Boston College next time we play them, and they've played some teams tough. So there's some teams that are growing up now too. Wake Forest don't look bad, and that's the last game on the schedule. So, the problem is that the games that we're supposed to win, the amount of them are shrinking. Like,
oh yeah,
every day.
Yeah, it is, and it's due to the point you just made, but also because we've just had a lot of those games early, the 2 Notre Dame games, and we were hoping, at some point Notre Dame would pick themselves up off the floor and do something so they can get out of the basement of the quad system, so that looks a little better on our resume, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen.
No.
At Oil Cuse, great to win this game. I think we are a good team, but we need some quad 1 wins. Y'all were on the Brown train since November, and he's been a player. How many wins does it take now to get into the tournament? Joe called Makiq Brown out, I think, before the freaking single tip-off happened. I believe it was when we were talking about him committing, or when we looked at all the commits, some kind of preview show or something like that.
Commit show. Yeah.
But look, Cap, I don't know if it's the number so much as it is the wins themselves. So like he said earlier in his post, need some quad 1 wins. I mean, it would be fantastic to get 1 or 2 of those and win the ones you should from here on out. And you talk about teams getting better. Well, guess what? I think Syracuse is getting better. Better. We're way better now than we were a month ago. Well, maybe not way better, but I think we're way better than we were in the beginning of the season. I do think we're better than we were a month ago. And when you look at what Makiq Brown's been doing, and you get a little bit of burn from Copeland here and there, I think those guys are, and we know what Samir brings, but I think with Makiq Brown especially, he's just getting way more comfortable. And he's a problem. With him and Jesse down there, that's a problem. I mean,
everybody. I mean, just you saw how they're working together, and they're getting way more comfortable picking for each other. And some of those assists we had were from super far out. I mean, Joe Girard was throwing him in there to a wide open Makiq Brown from the 3-point line, right? I mean, we had the alley-oop to Jesse. I mean, we have some of these plays going on. And Jesse, I mean, he's finding him. Malik's moving out the ball, and he's doing just the little stuff that he needs to do. He doesn't have to be fancy. I mean, he's out there with a garbage pail, blue collar, and He's not trying to, obviously everyone's trying to impress, but he don't care about a jump shot. He don't care about a 3-pointer. He knows his job. He knows what he's supposed to do, and he goes out and he does it well. Now, when alluding to the tournament, 6-3 in the conference right now, good. 13-7 overall, not as good as we'd like. But we're 10-3 of the last 13, and that's pretty good. And we have been getting better. And every game we lost, we came back and we made it a game against Pitt and Virginia and Miami. You could argue we probably should have won. So, even right now, we got 11 games left. We go 7-4. Then that gives us 20 wins, 20-11. And I think it just comes down to, like what you said, is who do we beat? And right now, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that, we're a talented enough team to beat any of these teams.
I think so too. I do, but it's just getting increasingly difficult.
Yep.
We'll talk about
11 games left, 6 at home, 5 away.
And we'll talk about North Carolina coming up, but you got Virginia Tech in Blacksburg. Hunter Couture is better, and by the time we get there, he's probably going to be.
They're still 1-7 in the conference too.
Yeah, well, they were good at the beginning of the year.
They were.
Let's see. At Donnie Lake, this shows we can beat the bottom feeders, but need to beat the top tier team before I get excited. Well, I'll tell you what. I'll still get excited. But I understand what he's saying. Some of the fans a little impatient on getting one of these signature wins. You mentioned Miami should have won that, and totally agree. I think that was a huge missed opportunity and probably one of the better case scenarios that we had. So especially up to this point. I mean, there's other opportunities, but 1 point loss against Pitt, too little, too late on that one too. So let's see. Top fan Nadal on Facebook. Joe Girard is channeling his inner Buddy Boeheim with how he's looking for his shot and getting inside, scoring at will. All well and good against lesser competition. Let's see it in action against Davis and Love on Tuesday. A tough test at home with the Orange. By the way, there's no Nadal killing me with the no punctuation per Joe's request. So I'll decipher when the sentences should end on my own.
Appreciate it, Nadal.
By the way, jeez, some crow. So let's see.
This is great.
A test at home for the Orange as guards of UNC are as prolific in their scoring as Baycott, going to need a balanced attack and defense to have a chance. Jesse will need to help from his forward. Will need help from his forwards as well, and I think we get it done in the end for one of the biggest wins in 2 years. So this was my upset pick, and we'll talk about UNC, but this is like an all-star cast. This UNC team, it's all names we know. It's all names we've heard for a few years, and they're going to have to – it's going to be, when we talk about Miami and we talked, hey, look, you got to be almost perfect to pull these wins off, and that's going to be a situation where it just can't be a lot of slow starts can't be a thing, turnovers can't be a thing, rebounding's going to be huge in that game. So, look, I think they can do it. I think going on the road and getting that W against Georgia Tech is big for confidence. And say what you want, but it's still a road win, like I mentioned in the ACC, and it feels good to get it. And it wasn't like it was close. Let's be honest. Like once they took the lead, especially in the second half, I mean, Syracuse just held that lead steady until it just was blown open, and it was it. At Cuse Hoops 97, Syracuse is improving every game. They definitely look the part of a tournament quality team. Early season woes probably too much to overcome. North Carolina, you're next. Well, yeah, there's some issues there, but it's going to come down to, like we said, the next game. North Carolina's the next game, and we'll see how that goes. At CBB Crow, Malik Brown is everything you want in a basketball player. On to UNC. Yeah, I mean, he's awesome. And I saw a comment, and I don't know, was it last year or last week or last game rather, about the fact that if these kids all return next year. I mean, that's going to be a solid cast for them as well. I
think that this is something that we can overcome. Obviously, we still have the games to do it,
yeah.
But at the end of the day, I mean, I look at Colgate. Colgate's 8-0 in their conference. I think realistically, the game that it might come back and bite us, and I'm still going to always look at, is that Bryant game. And you also wonder too, if it comes down to it, does the tournament look at a non-conference game back in November or whatever, where Judah Mintz, your best player or one of your best players, gets kicked out of the game, and I mean, and you lose by one. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind if Judah doesn't get kicked out, we win that game. And it's just unfortunate that we can't have that one back. Bryant's currently 4-3 in their conference, like I think 4th.
Yeah,
so
great.
I think Colgate is gonna win their conference and get through. And there's St. John's in Illinois, which I don't think look bad. So realistically, you take that Bryant, at least just that Bryant game, off of our
resume
right now, when we're 14-6. I think it's a different kind of resume.
Yeah. It definitely, I totally agree. If there's one, like I said, if there's one I could play again, it would be that one. I would love to see that game happen again. Chris on Facebook, we won one game at a time. Consistency would be wonderful. Unfortunately, with freshmen, that can be tough. I think there's aspects though to Syracuse's just gameplay that's pretty damn consistent. We talked about the press. We talked about the slow starts. Joe Girard is getting a whole lot better at being consistent, and that's been a problem for 3 years, as far as that goes. But
position change.
Yeah, exactly. And you have to position change, and like I said, you got other people doing other things, and there's just more people to worry about. It opens up a lot of stuff for him. But his game has changed totally. Like because
he's a shooting guard now. He's at his natural position.
Yeah, and he's getting in the lane and backing out, or even stopping guys in their tracks, and it's refreshing to say the least. Especially when we went through the 3 years of, like, I don't want to call them the Joe haters, but I don't know how else to describe the crowd that was wanting Joe to transfer even, or be benched and things like that. I mean, this is kind of a that puts a lot of those issues into perspective, him playing at his natural position. And, it's everybody's so quick to be so just opinionated and nasty, just even look at what Judas had one bad game, besides the Bryant getting kicked out of the Bryant game, had the one bad game there against Miami. And everybody's like, oh, well, he doesn't need to start. Like, it's so stupid. It's so reactionary. Top fan Jesse on Facebook. Got to give Joe his props. He looked really good and has been consistent. Another empty box score for Bell, but played 20 minutes. I'm all for giving him the opportunities, but we have 11 contributors. If he's not hitting shots, we've got to get him out and get energy guys like Copeland, Torrance, or Brown more minutes. That, along with pressing more, and this team is dangerous. Yeah, the press is a tool now. The press is not just something that we do because we're about to get our asses handed to us. And
right.
Yeah, and they're going to get better at it too. So
we got a lot of different tools on this team, right?
I know,
and
yeah.
Like I said, it depends on what tools do we need to go up against the other team's tools that day. And then there's sometimes the tools that we bring to the game aren't as sharp as they normally are, shown in the past, right? So it's like, again, it's pretty much like putting a puzzle together while the other side of it is continuously moving game to game. So I don't think Boeheim had a lot of options back in the day, not back in the day, but recently, and we were going through sanctions, pre-COVID, and then after COVID. So
we just did
we've had 7 guys. We only have these guys. We got to figure it out. And now it's like you have this whole cast of characters where you can just, the sky is kind of the limit if you think about it, but you got to be able to pull that trigger and say, I know you did this last game, but you're only going to play 8 minutes today. You're going to play 20 minutes and come in. You know what I mean? And that's just, it's what we've seen. And when he does that, it works.
Yeah, the sky is the limit, and I think we've seen the floor. So, you know, there's no...
The floor is being competitive and not giving up.
Yeah, well, right. Right, yeah, exactly. Yeah. And, you know, they've done that. So they... without a doubt, I think it makes it a little bit like just from a pure coaching perspective. I think it does make it a little confusing, or maybe not confusing. I shouldn't say that, but it does make it a little bit more difficult when you have these many combinations to choose from, you know, to play around with and just find what works and who's on that day too. So, you know, like Bell, you know, Bell's shown some tremendous flashes of what he could do. You know, Benny he had one good game, and Benny's been like, he has been like completely taken out of, I don't know what's going on, but he was, I mean, I just can't remember the last time Benny really did much of anything. And I know it's tough to tell in 8 minutes, it really is, but if you're not doing anything in those 8 minutes, you can't blame coach or the people that are sitting on the bench for yanking you, especially when you're looking at what Makiq Brown is doing.
Yeah. I mean, you look at the non-conference, and obviously we can pick that apart. You know, St. John's is still 80 in the net. Illinois is still 30 in the net, and Colgate's undefeated in their conference, right? So there are some things when you can look at that stuff. But November 29th, we got our ass kicked against Illinois.
Oh,
and
yeah, we totally did. Yeah.
And ever since then, we've gone 10-3, and our losses are by 2 against Pittsburgh at home, at Miami by 4, and probably the best team in the conference at their home court, in which we came back and we lost by 7. So for almost 2 months, in a week it'll be 2 months in which we've been embarrassed. And since then, we've either won or been right there in every game. Yeah.
Jake on Facebook, please, dear God, stop getting down 10 points to start every game. Yeah, that's a legit request.
Yeah, it is. Doesn't mean you're going to lose, but I'll take it.
Right. And it looks like, I hate to say this, I really do. Looks like Buffalo's going to be down 14-0 here. Very quick. The hell's going on there?
Long game. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. Well, did you say that last night? Long game, don't worry about it? Did you?
Look, there were some things that needed to happen out of halftime, and it just didn't happen quick enough. So, yeah.
Yeah.
I wish I would have put some points up on the board and, you know, just worried about keeping it as close as possible. But, you know.
Hey, yeah. Were you in on the chat, on the live stream, or what?
I was not.
There was some good chat in there. There's some good chat in there. And it was quite a few people watching. I mean, for us.
Like 80. I feel like I saw like 83 or 86 at one point. So
something like that, I think. You know, we could get more. I just don't think people know that we usually do that. But anyway, it is what it is. All right. That pretty much does it for that. So let's move on to UNC. All right, the all-time series between Syracuse and UNC sits at 6-15 in favor of the Tar Heels. Since joining the ACC, Syracuse is 3-11 versus North Carolina. Two of those wins coming at home, and then the one in the tournament. We remember from a couple years ago. Last year's game, North Carolina was the victor, 88-79. Gerard, Buddy, Anselm, Swider, and Jimmy, your starting 5. Swider with 36 points in that game. UNC is 14-6 overall and 6-3 in the ACC. They're tied for third with Wake Forest, Miami, Pitt, and Syracuse. All of those teams 6-3. After losing 4 in a row early in the season to Iowa State, Alabama game was 4 overtimes. Indiana and Virginia Tech. UNC has gone 9-2, only losing to Pittsburgh and Virginia. And I mean, you know the names. I mentioned it earlier. You got Armando Bacot, R.J. Davis, Leaky Black, Caleb Love. Bacot leading the team in scoring with 18 points a game. Also couple that with 12 rebounds a game. They also have this 6'11", 230-pound forward transfer from Northwestern, Pete Nance. He's averaging 10 points a game and 6 rebounds to go along with that. So being a nice contributing factor there for the transfer. As a team, they are averaging just shy of 80 points a game, hitting 45% from the floor, 32% from three, and 74 call it 75% from the free throw line. R.J. Davis and Caleb Love, they're the guys that they like to throw up the three ball. R.J. Davis is pretty solid with 39%, hitting 39% of those shots. Caleb Love, a little bit less than that, at 27% from distance. So an all-star cast, but Syracuse has had their luck at home, and we're playing in the Dome, so that's good. I don't know what the crowd is going to look like at 9 o'clock on a Tuesday, but it's a big game. I feel like, we should be able to draw some attention there in the Dome, and I hope that they can. I know that Adam Weitzman is bringing a couple of potential NIL candidates to that game with him. Those are going to be his guests, them and their families. So the biggest problem I see, though, for Syracuse facing this North Carolina team is that North Carolina can grab the boards, man. They're averaging close to 40 rebounds a game. They're tied for 25th in the country, and juxtapose that to Syracuse's 36 a game, which doesn't seem terrible, but 127th in the country. So that's my worry. UNC is 32nd in the net rankings right now. It makes this just barely a quad 2 game. Just assume that Syracuse goes on to win this game and UNC finishes out the season strong. It could easily be a quad 1 game. They're only missing by a couple spots there for this to be a quad 1 game. So I don't see why they couldn't get there if we can pull this thing off. So anyways, Joe, a very talented, a very veteran team, and they made some noise early. They went through a little bit of a bump in the road, and seems to be that they're back on track. We had Armando Bacot got injured briefly there, and then he's back to being strong again. Dude's tough to stop. I mean, a lot of these guys are tough to stop. So what do you think?
Well, like I said, I mean, I always start with the schedule, and it just looks like a very similar schedule, other than the fact that they played a whole bunch of different, like, more difficult teams. Losing Iowa State, Alabama, Indiana in the non-conference, and then, their last 13 games, they've been 11-2, so it looks very similar to kind of like what we've been, except for, they won a home game against Ohio State and Michigan. They beat two of the better teams in the Big Ten too. They're definitely got a bigger difficulty of schedule, and that's why they're ranked higher in the net. As much as our record's the same, the strength of schedule is not even close, especially non-conference. But just looking through this win, this win streak and everything like that, I mean, very similar. A game at Pitt, and I know we played Pitt at home, but they lost to 2 against Pitt. So did we. And they lost at Virginia by 7, and so did we. Other than that, they've kind of taken care of business against all the other teams. We haven't played NC State or Wake Forest yet, who are kind of up there in the standings, and they have. So, last 13 games have looked very similar, except for the fact that North Carolina has played and beat better teams. But you can only play against who you play against, right? And they haven't played Miami yet on the schedule. So, realistically, to me, it's going to be a close game. I mean, we know what this team can do. They're bringing back a majority of who they have. I think that, they made that run last year near the end of the year when they were kind of just clicking on all cylinders. And sometimes when you bring back those type of talented players, Bacot not going to the NBA, Caleb Love not going to the NBA, that sometimes it's hard to replicate what happened the year before, especially because now you have an expectation. We've been there, now we expect to do that. So a lot of times that puts a lot of pressure on certain people's shoulders. And, they don't have Brady Manick this year. And I think that he was a real big kind of glue guy to where, he's a guy where he could hit the mid range, he could pass, play down low, shoot the three. And, I know that, Nance can do that as well. They're a transfer from Northwestern. Is he doing it, as well as Brady Makiq has? But other than that, when you look at their box score up and down, majority of their close games, I mean, you're looking at a very, very similar roster that we saw last year. You got Makiq with R.J. Davis and Caleb Love and Leaky Black, and then instead of Brady Makiq, we have Pete Nance, and then coming off the bench, we have Puff Johnson, who he had a good game against us last year. He's a 6'8", 200-pound junior, so there's some size, and then sophomore guard DeMarco Dunn, who comes in and kind of spells some of the guards, and he's 6'5", 190. So, the one thing that North Carolina is always going to bring is size and athleticism, and we're going to have to deal with that. But when you look at it, I don't see them as that much better, or maybe not even better than what they were last year. They're going to be able to score, and they're going to be able to hit some ridiculous shots that they did last year. But I don't think their defense is nearly what it was last year with Brady Makiq. So we'll see. But they have beaten teams better than Syracuse. I really don't know what to expect. I don't like a 9 o'clock. I worry about the fans, but we show out for UNC, and the students are there, and they will too. So
yeah, the students
ESPN,
are there,
right?
So they got that. What's that?
It's on ESPN, right?
It is on ESPN. Yeah.
So ESPN 9 o'clock on a Tuesday. I mean, yeah,
it's tough. I just, like I said, I worry about the rebound a little bit. There's the typical guys that are going to give us fits, but it's just one of those. It's going to be a game where you can't hit the panic button. Just stay composed and stay in it, and just give yourself a shot. And that's the important thing, I think.
Yeah.
And it's a winnable game. And like you said, I mean, I think all of these games are winnable. And on the right day and the right combination of guys, I think they can pull it off. And I look for them to pull it off because I picked them to win. So I'm going to stick with that. But I think it's going to be tough. It's going to be another probably, if they can pull it off, it's going to be close. It ain't going to be a what the hell are you? What, did you just enter a haunted
Sorry
house?
about that, sir.
What the hell's going on? So, anyway, look, I think they win. I'm going to call so this might be a little high. I don't know, but maybe not though. But I'm going to say Syracuse wins at home. They get this game. Ends up being a quad one game eventually. And they pull it off 79-76. So close. It's going to be, I predict if they're going to win this thing, that it's going to be another one of those games that, the cardiac cues in full effect. One of those.
I mean, I think it's going to be a close one for sure. I think it's going to be cardiac. But a lot of it has to do, again, with, it's going to be foul trouble type stuff and rebounding. Kind of hoping that Jesse that's going to be interesting because I don't think Jesse got to play against Makiq last year. And I'd love to see, what can happen there. I know Makiq's got a bigger body, but, that's one matchup that I'm looking forward to seeing. And
I'm looking forward to seeing it too, but it's also a matchup that presents foul issues for Jesse.
Yeah, there's obviously that as well. It's a back and forth type thing. So,
Yeah.
There's a lot of it about how that type of stuff's going to be played. And also, too, I think the guards match up pretty well. I think that they got guys that can guard Joe and Judah. And so I think it's going to have to be a team effort. And I think that, just a different team. We were in the game last year. Caleb Love made some real good shots, and we weren't as athletic as we were this year. We didn't have a Judah Mintz that could take it to the hole and stuff like that. So, it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out for sure. But we're going to need to go in there. We're going to have to play rough and tough around that basket. They got, fifth-year senior guys out there with Pete Nance at 6'11", and Makiq, who just throws his body around. We know about them. So, and Leaky Black is a 6'7", 6'8", forward/guard that's going to be out there. So yeah, it's all that stuff, man. It's all that stuff. And
This is a big game for me. Well, you too. Me personally, a lot of UNC fans in this area.
yeah,
And it's one of those, you get to walk around with your chest puffed out type of thing. Maybe hit Wegmans the next day.
well, yeah. I mean, I think we went from like DEFCON 5 against Georgia Tech to this game isn't going to make or break us. It's just an opportunity to get a quad one, but we're only going to be able to say that for so long. And
exactly.
That the time hasn't ran out yet to be able to say that. Because again, like I said, I think this is a situation where if we play them good enough, then it could be a situation where we lose but still move up in Ken Pom and the net rankings and stuff like that. So, we're up to, I think, 80th in Ken Pom and 100 in the net, and we're moving in the right direction. And, a win could keep this going in the right trajectory. But like I said, a close game against the North Carolina could as well. Not going to hurt us, just an opportunity. But our days and times of being able to say that are very, very limited, coming very, very short.
Yeah. And just looking ahead quickly, and you've got almost, winning those games you should. Virginia Tech, the way the numbers are right now, that's a game that you should win on the road. It's not going to be it's not going to look good as a loss. Put it that way, even though we know why they were where they were, but you go out there and lose that game, and that's it's not desperation time yet, even, but it's just another one of those things that this UNC game is a feather in the cap, and we haven't had a real anything to hang our hats on as far as wins in Syracuse basketball in a minute. We didn't have a quad one win last year. It's kind of been a struggle. I haven't had one so far this year, and just with the opportunities out there, you have to imagine that they got it. They have to get one soon. They have to get one soon because the next opportunity is Virginia.
Yeah, well, and when you look at it too, just looking at the next 5, there might be to the average, or to maybe it's just to certain fans. I'm gonna say average, and to certain fans, they're gonna look at it and say, "Oh, okay, out of our next 5, we got a Virginia Tech, a Boston College, Florida State, who are 3 of the bottom 6 of the ACC, right?" But all 3 of those are away,
right?
And then the other 2 is a North Carolina and a Virginia at home.
Yeah.
So I said, screw it, go 5-0. Go 5-0.
You go 5-0. We're sitting pretty.
That changes the complete trajectory of the season, right? That's what I mean. That's how ridiculous it is to sit here and go back and forth and talk about NIT in the middle of the season.
I mean,
when you have the opportunities there, and it's just, well, you didn't, but there's other fans that do. So I mean, the opportunities there. We go 5-0. All of a sudden, we're in the tournament. I bet you, but Lenardi.
Yeah, I mean, for the next 5 games, go 5-0. Yeah, I mean, I haven't heard much NIT talk really, but maybe I just tune it out. And the other thing is, to be honest with you, the only time I'm on social media really is like when I post for the game, and then when I come on here and we go over feedback. It's just, I can't. It's agonizing to me, being on Twitter and all that. So, what's your score? You never give a score.
I'm gonna go 81-80 UNC.
Oh wow.
I know.
81-80.
I'm sorry, it's just like that's just like what those type of games go. And last year I thought we were gonna beat UNC, and Caleb Love made some stupid shot, and then we lost in overtime, I believe. So yeah.
Well,
it's just how it happens with UNC. We just do not have good luck against. I mean,
no, we don't. We just don't match up well with them. But this is different. This year's a little different. We've just never matched up with them well because of their size and everything. And I just feel like there's a better chance this year than we've had in the past couple years, and we have pulled it off. Everybody has their moments too. Everybody has their games where, you just the sleeper upset. I mean. It could happen. It could happen easy. If it's gonna probably be at the Dome, obviously. So, I just that's how I feel about it. In my gut, I'm kind of with you, but that's how I just try to stay positive on this one for the sake of hanging our hat on something. So, anyways, all right. I think that's gonna be it. That's gonna be it for us. I appreciate everybody. For happy birthday to Dom's wife. He can't stay in the green room. It's her birthday. Happy birthday, Dom's wife. But look, appreciate all of you for tuning in. Being in the green room, this, that, and the other. We will see you Wednesday. For Joe, I'm Sean. We're out.
Peace.